Hello everyone, it's Jeff. Welcome to my video. Behind the camera again today. I'm making this video by request. I've gotten a few people asking me about my stereo setup, so I figured I would make this video and just show everything that I've got, and my shelving too. I've gotten a lot of questions on that as well. Basically, my stereo setup isn't the most high-end. It's, I don't know, it does the job perfectly fine. All in all, I've got no complaints, and the front room in my house here is small, so it's not like I have a giant space to fill with sound. So the components I've got do the job pretty well. I guess I will start with the newest edition, which most of you already know about. Blah, I just repeated myself, didn't I? This is the new turntable I got about 6 months ago. It's a project, and it's called the Classic. It's I think the 25th anniversary edition of their turntable. And I can tell you, from personal experience, after living with this for the last, like I said, 6 months, I think I bought this at the end of October last year. Compared to the one I had previously, this turntable blows it away in terms of sound. This puts out a very warm sound compared to my old turntable, which was an old Pioneer, which is now my backup table. And basically, that's due to the cartridge, which is a Sumiko Bluepoint number 2. Is fairly well broken in by now. I'd say I have well over 100 hours on this table, and that's certainly enough time, I think, for it to break in. That Sumiko is my first moving coil cartridge that I've ever used, and I gotta say the sound is much more detailed, clear, and powerful than anything I've had previously. So I have no complaints with this thing. It looks great. It performs great. It took a little while to get used to it being a fully manual table. At the very least, I was used to the record, the tone arm returning when it got to the end of the record. But it's not a big deal for me to do it myself, I guess. If sound is the main goal, this one delivers. So, all in all, I'm very happy with this turntable, I have to say. The other part that I replaced recently, not long after I got the turntable, was this receiver. It's a Yamaha RS500 and puts out 75 watts per channel, which is more than enough to power the speakers I've got. And it actually has a setting on here that called Pure Direct, which allows you to bypass the EQ if you so desire, and just get the purest signal from the turntable to the speakers with nothing added. And I tend to use that Pure Direct setting when I'm listening to records. All in all, I wanted to get rid of the old Pioneer component setup that was my previous setup. Not only because, it was old, but it was starting to break down. I was having a lot of problems with the receiver part. And I just wanted to have more of an all-in-one setup. I didn't want to have a separate tuner. I didn't want to have a separate EQ. I didn't want to have a separate tape deck when I used to have a tape deck with it. So the only component from that old setup that I kept was the CD player. It's a Pioneer PD M552, if that means anything to anybody. It's a 6-disc CD changer, And the CD changer is one of these cartridges. You flip out the tray and you put the CD in thusly. So it works. CDs aren't my main focus anymore on music, so it does the job. It's from the 90s, so it still seems to work, and I don't really have a problem with it, so that's why I kept it. Speaker-wise, I took the grill off of this one just to show you the speaker itself. I have a pair of Polk RTI A1 speakers, bookshelf speakers. And these are probably about 2 years old by now. So these speakers are pretty well broken in. I know they're small, but they put out a sound pretty well. God, I can't talk today. What's wrong with me? They sound pretty well by now because the cones are all broken in. And even though the woofer is small, it does put out a decent amount of bass. So I can't really complain about these too much. And I have a set of these downstairs in my basement as part of my surround sound system. I've got these speakers as my rear speakers in my surround sound system. Those are the older version. They're the square cabinet ones. These ones here that we're looking at have the tapered end on the back. It's the newer design. But they both work just fine. They both sound great. And the speakers that I was talking about, I think in my previous video, these are the speakers that I want to replace someday. These are the Boston Acoustic A60s. And like I said, these are about 35 years old, I'd say, or close to it. And I replaced this foam surround here because it was basically gone from the cone when I got these. And yeah, I got these for free, so I made the choice to repair them and keep them to get me through. But someday these will go. And I popped the grill off of this one too, just to show you the speaker itself. And for continuity's sake, you can see the other Polk speaker with the grill on, and the other Boston Acoustic. I know the floor is not the best place to keep these speakers, but what are you going to do? It's what I've got so far, so it's going to have to do, I guess. This shelving unit that you see right here, that's an IKEA unit. It's Bonde, B-O-N-D-E. I've had this for probably, I want to say about 12 to 15 years. So the wood is definitely getting a little patina on it. It's starting to get a little more yellow compared to the way it looked when I first bought it. People ask me a lot about this butcher block. Well, I've got the turntable on the butcher block, and the reason for that is, actually the reason is twofold. First, it's to give the turntable a level surface because that top has a slight bow in it, so I want to give a level playing surface for the turntable. And it's a heavy butcher block cutting board, so I'm hoping it helps with isolation a little bit. So that's the reason for that. I've gotten a lot of comments and a few smart-ass comments mixed in asking me what I'm doing with my turntable sitting on a cutting board, but that's the reason. And that's a heavy cutting board, let me tell you. The main part of my collection, I'll just show you my shelving units here, is housed here. I've got the got some dividers. You can probably see them there. Split up alphabetically so I can find whatever I'm looking for a lot easier. And these doors keep the dust down a lot nicer than just having open shelves. And as you can see, there's not much room left on that bottom section, so that's why I've had to buy these end units to house some of the rest of my collection, which I'll show you right now. Basically, this cube here is jazz. So as you can see, I do not have much in the way of jazz albums, but more will probably end up going into this cube as time goes by. This cube is all of my Beatles, Stones, Floyd, Zeppelin, and Neil Young albums. I pulled them out a while ago to separate them out, have them for easier access, and to utilize the space in here for other records. So that's what lives there. And then down here are all the David Bowie albums and the Hamilton soundtrack, which is my daughter's, and that will someday go with her when she's old enough to have her own place and her own stereo setup. So David Bowie and Hamilton, share that one. And then over here, a couple of box sets spill over onto here. This one is more assorted box sets, both CD and vinyl. Some of them are a mix. And the last one here is where most of the Third Man sets live, and a couple of other assorted box sets. So there you go. It's a pretty humble setup all in all, but it works pretty well. And I like it. And as time goes by, things will probably change. If nothing else, those speakers will eventually get replaced. And there's also room for expansion for the future, because I'm not going to be in this house forever. So wherever I do move to next, this will easily go with me and do the job just as well wherever else I move to. So there you go. That's a pretty quick rundown of my stereo setup and shelving. And I will talk to you guys again soon. Thanks for watching. Take care.